sorry. Hi, Jessica. So also online today, we have Jessica Reyes. So we have final five panelists.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna read a little bio of each one of our panelists so you can get to know them a little better. And then after we introduce their small bios, we'll go ahead and ask the Q&A. So Regina Castillo, whoa, can't read today. Regina Castillo joined Transportation Security Administration at LAX in 2014 and currently holds the title of a Supervisory Transportation Security Officer at Tom Bradley Checkpoint. She promoted to STSO in June of 2022. In her free time, when not working, Regina enjoys relaxing and spending time with her family and friends. Regina is also a licensed cosmetologist who specializes in helping people to feel good about themselves while looking good at the same time. Oh, yeah. Round of applause.
Okay, so then we have Tamara Thomas. Tamara Thomas is a deputy assistant federal security director for screening at Los Angeles International Airport. She was selected for this position July 2013. In this role, Ms. Thomas is responsible for directing the operations for over 400 employees at Terminal 6 and Terminal 7. She currently resides in Gardena, California, and enjoys church, community service, and spending time with her daughter, family, and friends.
I always butcher your name, so I apologize. Cherie Bias. She currently serves as an assistant federal security director for screening operations assigned to LAX, overseeing the spokes airports of Long Beach, SNA, Ontario, and PSP, and now SBD as well. Cherie was born and raised in Pasadena, California, attending school at California State University of LA. She currently resides in Glendora with her husband and two children.
So Jessica, who we have here online, Jessica Reyes McAllister is currently a branch manager for the Special Enforcement Program under the Compliance Branch of Security Operations. Jessica has been at this position for a couple of years, and although the team is it's a very specialized team that affects policies and procedures nationwide, her team deals with the traveling public and violations that occur at the checkpoint and in baggage areas across the airport across our nation. During her free time, she enjoys having family time. They are her reason for striving every day and they do great things. Jessica has her husband, her daughters, and a German Shepherd that keeps her very busy.
And then our last panelist is Alana Page Bell. Long title, guys. You ready? Assistant Supervisory Air Marshal in charge of LAX Field Office for Transportation Security Administration, Law Enforcement Federal Air Marshal Service Field Operations. Woo! I need a deep breath for that one. Guys, the longer your title, the more important you are. Just kidding. All our panelists are important, right? In March of 2021, Ms. Bell was assigned to the FAM's LAX office as the Assistant Supervisory Air Marshal in charge. In her duties, she manages the response teams, airport assigned FAMs, and the FBI, SHI task force, FAMs, and an office of 160 personnel. Wow, that's amazing. So many agencies. In 2022, she graduated from the Department of Homeland Security Senior Executive Service Candidate Development Program. She is the founder and chair of the first employee resource group of FAMS, Women Excel in FAMS, or known as We at FAMS, and is a member of Wiffle, and Noble. In 2022, she was a Wiffle Award recipient for outstanding advocacy for women in law enforcement. She is also the mother of 2 girls, ages 5 and 2.
So, I'm sorry, I forgot I need the mic. So we're gonna open the floor to questions. After we're gonna ask them questions as well, but the questions are not limited to us asking them. So we want you ladies also to ask questions for our panelists so that we can get to know them better, and they can give us like encouragement so that we can strive and be the best women that we can be today. So I'll start off. So. And the question is not directed at any one of the panelists, so feel free if you want to join in and answer for us. So our first question today is going to be, how have you drawn professional inspiration from other women? I'll go first. Okay. Should we pass?
Yes, please.
To everyone. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So I've definitely drawn inspiration from other women around me. Just a little tidbit about my career. I started with FAMS back in 2006. At the time, I was 22. You guys can do the math. I was 22 years old. I was a recent college graduate and with no prior military or law enforcement background. Coming into a space that was largely white male dominated, where there were very few women, was very intimidating. At the time, there were over 500 FAMs in my field office. I was out in New York at the time. And of that, there were only 5 women in the office. So we were a very, very small percentage. So looking at other women was difficult at the time, but I wanted to make sure that throughout my career, as I kind of navigated my career, that I found women that I can look up to, right? And it wasn't just women. I also looked up to men, but there were some women that stood out. 2 of those women were mentors of mine throughout my career. That was Miss Kimberly Walton, who was the previous EA of Enterprise Support, and also Christine Griggs, who was over our Civil Rights and Liberties Division. 2 very outstanding women, but for me to see Black women in positions of power, but be so genuine and caring. Miss Walton, if anyone has seen her work or has known her over the years, she's just one of those women that kind of commands the room. And she doesn't have a very outgoing personality, but she still commands a room when she comes in. And the way that she does that with confidence and with poise was just something that I just really was drawn to. And then Miss Griggs is one of those people who is just really a genuine leader. And aside from being genuine, she's also very authentic. So there were things that I took from all of them: to be confident, to be authentic, to be poised in your delivery, but also to be able to connect to your workforce through just being genuine, right? So those are definitely 2 women that I looked up to throughout my career and who have impacted me greatly throughout. So thank you.
So for me, I've had a lot of great women leaders throughout that I've just been peers with, from Tamara to Janice to just different people. And one significant leader in our TSA family that has always kind of been that person to kind of go to has been Chris Pope. And everyone knows Chris is the AO currently right now. And that's someone that I've been able to just kind of to talk with. And she's always had that direct approach to different things. And earlier on in my career, when I first started out as a TSM, I kind of got a little bit of flack from peers because people thought I was really nice and I was too nice and I couldn't be a really good leader. And I kind of took that as, okay, it's a man's world. And the only way you're going to be able to kind of move forward is if you kind of walk around and don't smile. And for those that know me and have worked with me, that's not me. And I refuse. And Alana mentioned authentic leadership. That is a huge proponent that I definitely kind of like go through my leadership day. I want to be authentic. And Chris was one of those leaders throughout my career that while she kind of has that rough exterior when you're first talking with her, she's a great person to get to know. And she's a very supportive leader. And she kind of was that person that, you know, really kind of inspired me to not be afraid to smile and still command a room. and that, no matter what, if other people are making you feel that you have to kind of walk in with this gruff persona, that doesn't have to be the case. I can still walk into a room, I can smile, I can be personable, and I can still ensure that I'm getting that right message around and to my people. So those are just different leaders. Chris definitely has kind of been that person for me.
Oh, can you over the table? Yeah. Over the table, please.
I'll pull it around. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, we got it. We got it.
Good morning, everyone. It's kind of awkward holding this and you can't really hear, you just hear yourself. So my story is a little bit different. I started here at the airport in 1999, March 9th. So actually tomorrow will be my 24th year here at the airport. One of my leaders when I started was Gwen Jordan. She was the account manager for the Argenbright contract in Terminal 5. So she was overseeing, at the time, we had skycaps, runners, wheelchair attendants, and then the pre-board screeners at the checkpoint operations. When I came in as a young 19-year-old employee, this was not supposed to be a career. I was currently in school, and I approached her because I started as a pre-board screener, and Keisha Edwards, who was Keisha Slaughter at that time, she and I worked together as pre-board screeners. She's currently a TSA employee here. So when I started, I approached Gwen Jordan. She was African-American female, and she was just such a sweet lady, very welcoming. And I was like, when I'm in charge, I want to be like her. She was going around, she was very personable, always talking to all the employees. Everybody loved her in the terminal. And at that time, it was Delta Airlines. So all of the Delta higher ups would come and chit chat with her. And I was like, you know what? Normally people are like, oh, here comes the boss. And they're like trying to get in everything in order. And so she just had this aura about her that I really liked. And so I went up and I approached her and I said, how long did it take you? And she was just tripping out because she's like, you're like the first person to ever ask me that as a new hire. And so I said, how long did it take you to get to where you are? And she was like, you want my job? And I was like, yeah, eventually. And so she said, well, there's going to be some opportunities coming up. She was like, we're going to be doing some hand picking. And if you are ready, then we'll be selecting SICs, which are in charge, and that's equivalent to a LTSO for TSA purposes. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm ready. And at that time, you had to test, take the test, pass. I got my little burgundy vest, and I was like, yes, I'm out of this blue. It was a blue coat, a suit coat that we would wear. Imagine screening people in a suit coat with a carnation flower and a yellow and blue tie. Oh my God, talking about ugly uniforms and gray slacks. Terrible. Yeah, terrible. So I was like, I can't keep doing this. So eventually I was a screener in charge. And then after that, there was an opportunity that presented itself and I became the checkpoint security supervisor, which is a CSS, which is equivalent to an STSO. And she was like, you're very like proactive. You want to just do things. I'm just going to keep throwing things at you. And that's what she did. And every time she threw something at me, I was available. At that time, I wasn't a mother, so I was able to just promote and take on a career in aviation security. So fast forward, there was an opportunity because one of the duty managers was leaving. And she was like, hey, do you want to apply to be a manager? And I was like, sure, I think I can do the job. I've been doing this for quite some time now. And sure enough, she's like, okay, I'm going to have you take the test. And then I'm going to send you off to Dallas. Because at the time they were doing, they were having you become an FAA certified trainer, which I was able to work over in human resources, which our building was 6151 West Century Boulevard. And I did that for quite some time. And then I started training the pre-board screeners that were coming on. And then also attached with that, I was doing the duty manager job, which was a TSM job. She was just so instrumental in the beginning of my career, which kind of molded me for being in leadership and leading people, and just watching her in the dynamic that she had with her workforce. I was like, she's a great woman, and she was a woman of her word. She was very honest with her staff, and it just made me want to make sure that I model that. And I took that along with, just your upbringing. When you're around people that they have great work ethic, you want to model that as well. So it was like, hey, this was just a job initially, and then it turned into being a career based on my interaction that I had with the first person that I kind of encountered that welcomed me when I started here at the airport 24 years ago. So.
Of course, this is an open floor.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Just
I just wanted to say something about what Tamara said just now. One of the things that she said was she was very clear and unapologetic about wanting the position that she wanted, right? And it doesn't matter how high that position is. If you want something, be very clear and unapologetic about what you want. You put it out there, you will achieve it, right? If you just like kind of walk around and you hold everything to yourself and you're like, oh, I don't want to tell people what I'm doing. I'm not saying tell everybody what moves you're making, but be unapologetic about wanting those top positions. There's nothing wrong with that. And the more you put it out there, the more you believe it, the more you'll be able to go after that. So I just wanted to piggyback on that.
Good morning. It's hard to put what I feel is my biggest professional inspiration on one person, because I feel that a lot of people have inspired me in my time at TSA. I've worked with so many managers in here. I was 22 when I started TSA, so I was very young-minded, I guess I would say. I had a lot of misguided anger, just being honest and transparent. But I really feel like my peers kind of helped me. Peers who were serious about what they wanted professionally, and how that moved over into things that they wanted personally. And I just had really good peers that kind of talked to me about what is it that I wanted. And I had to be honest at that time to say I didn't have a plan of what I wanted when I first started here. So I feel like through them and some of the faults that I had pretty early on at TSA, my inspiration really just came from my peers.
Hi, Jessica. Can you hear us?
Into the mic, please.
The floor is yours, Jessica.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Trying to maneuver this day and age technology is not always as easy as it seems. Day and age technology is not always as easy as it seems.
It's like a beat. It's like an echo. Is it okay?
Yeah, I think there might be an echo in the room, so I'll turn off my YouTube if it makes it better for you guys.
Yes, you have it on.
So I'll turn off my YouTube if it makes it better.
Just leave it to me.
It's just cut it off.
Oh, okay.
Say testing, testing.
Oh, we're delayed.
did, but now we can hear them.
Okay, you cut it off already? Uh-oh. Can you hear us? We'll come back to you if the audio commences to work.
Where is Carl? I'm sorry.
She can put her mic back on.
Can you put your mic back on?
She's not gonna hear you through there.
Oh.
I'm trying to. Let me see if I can, excuse me. Let me see if I can find.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yay.
I can't hear you, so I don't know what, is all going on. I do wish that I was there though.
Ask her if she wants us to read the question again to her. Yeah. Have you drawn professional? We apologize, guys.
So we're gonna try and call her on the phone. We may have a better reception that way. Johnny, can you tell her we're gonna give her a call on the
So it looks
phone?
like there's a question, I'm sorry, there's like a spoken on this one, so. For me, and what inspired me from my personal life, drawing from my mother's, my mother and her sisters and watching them do their thing when I was younger, to life at LAX. I started as what they was known, freeboard screener at that time, and was jumping around doing a couple, different jobs, and the TSA, and I was like, okay, this is a great job to do for a short period of time, kind of like what Tamara was referring to, and here I am 10 years later in the career. That became basically my life choice, right? And moving across country was not easy. I, took my daughter, stuffed them in the car, sold everything and moved across country. But I think it's the best choice that I've ever made, seeking to come up in my career, get to some place that I felt myself I can retire from, being able to do something that I really wanted to do all my life, which is travel. And be able to help out other women that want to be in leadership, that have that drive, that say, hey, maybe I'd be a good leader, or, maybe I could lead a team one day, and start, become a leader, supervisor, and you start climbing up that ladder. And then you really enjoy giving back, you enjoy raising up the next set of leaders, which I really inspired to do. I really enjoy doing, and I think that we're in a perfect space to do it. So I've met a lot of professional leaders. I currently work for a phenomenal woman that's always there to hear me out when I may not be able to make the best decisions. And she always talks me off the ledge, so it's always a good thing. When you have other women that inspire you, that can hear you out in a non-judgmental space and can really provide you the best guidance of what you should follow, and ultimately you make the decision for yourself. So that's kind of my story.
Thank you. Okay, so I think that just to recap, it was wonderful experiences that everyone has had, but something that resonated with what everyone said here was find a mentor. That was one of the big takeaways. If you're shy, if you are timid, it doesn't have to be loud and boisterous how you approach someone. It could just be a simple email. I'm that type. I get red. I'm red right now, but I'll still do it. I'll sit down behind my screen and it's safe zone, and I'm like, "Hi, do you mind if you can help me with X, Y, and Z?" So I think that it was all very enlightening to hear how, even though they all came from different places, somehow their path took them in a very similar way. So parallel paths. And look, they're all wonderful women here, inspiring all of us. So we're going to move on to the next question.
So before we move on, I just want to piggyback off of what I heard with the ladies as well. So I keep forgetting this part. So I think that it's important because a lot of times as officers or leads or even supervisors, when you're not at like a managerial level, sometimes people become discouraged. And what everyone basically was saying was to, like, you have to put yourself out there, go out there. TSA offers so many different avenues that you can go through or do do something different within your career. So you don't have to stop at the level of being just an officer or a lead or even a supervisor. Like my position here is very unique within TSA. I'm a program analyst, but just me working from a screener to like doing things in the training department, working. I only worked baggage. I've never worked at the checkpoint. So it led me to where I am right now as a program analyst. I've worked in the finance department. I've worked in logistics. So I've like gotten my hands dirty here. And you just have to put yourself out there. And when people say, you know, that you can't do it, one person, even if it's a manager, because I know that we have different personalities that work here, from manager to your supervisors, and we're all working with different people along the way. Every year you have a shift bid, or you shift bid twice a year now, right? So twice a year you're shift bidding, so you're working with all of these different personalities. So find the one or the two people, maybe 10, or group of people that you can actually get along well with, that can actually give you inspiration. So that's my takeaway. Don't stop at the level that you are at right now. Just keep going. There are many people out there, even if someone is discouraging towards you, you can do it. Okay, so we'll go to the next question. So our next question is, what is one thing you wish you would have told yourself 5 or 10 years ago in regards to your career, or even as the person that you've become right now? What is something that you have told yourself? There you go.
You said in regards to your career,
It
or
could be your career, or just like your personal life, or even the woman that you have become, how you look at life differently now from 5 years ago, 10 years ago till today.
ooh, I would tell myself a whole lot of stuff. But I think the biggest thing that I would tell myself is to be intentional, and make way more, or set way more goals for myself. And I really do think that just starting with that would have been a really good start for me. Yeah, just be more intentional.
I think for me, the thing that I would have told my younger self was, it won't be easy, but it would be worth it. I when I started my journey, it was really difficult, and it still is today. There really is no true path to success. And the things that might hold true for someone else's success doesn't necessarily hold true for me. I can tell you that in my own career, it seems like the goalpost moves every time I try to play the game. So it's really difficult to try to know what steps I need to take to get to the next level, right? And so in regards to what she said about being intentional, it really is. You're never just a whatever. I don't care what position you're in. You're never just a whatever. There's always potential for you to stand out and for you to be successful in whatever you're doing. And I think that's really what I kind of lean on. Just while I'm in whatever position I'm in, do as much as you can, right? Within reason. Whatever you can handle, whatever you want to do those things. And just by doing that and being genuine and being authentic, staying true to yourself, by doing those things, you're just automatically going to stand out, and you'll find your own path. You don't have to worry about what paths are written or what paths are created. You can create your own path. And so I think that for me is what I would say. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And the things that I do now, of course, are for myself, right? I want to succeed. I want to be successful. I want to be able to say that I've accomplished X, Y, and Z. But it's also for the people that are standing next to me and those that are coming behind me. I don't ever want people to have to deal with the things that I've dealt with and continue to deal with. I hope that what I'm doing today will make it easier for the people coming behind me.
So for me, I don't wait for things to become perfect, and I don't think you'll ever fully find, starting out like as a TSO, I remember saying, okay, well, once I master this, then I'll apply for LTSO. And then after a few years, and once I know how to do this, then I'll do STSO. Sometimes things aren't like that path isn't out there, right? You have to take those risks. Not everything is going to align, and you may not always feel ready. And I kind of say it all the time. You're never fully ready. You're never fully ready to get married or have kids or take on these new positions, but you have to trust yourself and trust those around you and take that risk. If you truly feel that you want to move up, do it. Don't wait, because it's never going to be the right time. I struggled when I first started moving up because I was going to school, I was having kids, and I was trying to juggle it all. And I kept thinking like, oh, I can't take that on. I'm going to have to do this now and that. And I can hardly balance my life now. Like, how put a promotion on there? Hell no. I'm not going to be able to do that. But you do it and you find ways to make it work. And as so many people say, it takes a village. It does take a village, and there's so many other people and mentors and peers, and kind of how everyone's talked about mentorship. It doesn't have to be an actual full-fledged TSA signed document of a mentor. It's really talking with your peers and talking with people around you. And it may just be one thing. It could be something where you reach out to one person for, I know they're great with difficult conversations because I watch them have a difficult conversation with someone, and I want to talk with them for a moment. And you're just kind of talking with them. And as you kind of grow and navigate that path, but don't wait for things because they're not always going to come to you. And timing is sometimes everything, right? We're never going to always have it, but there's always going to be a way to make it work. And I can't help but say, invest in yourself. Career development is huge. And TSA has grown in so many ways over the last 20 years. And one of the greatest things is that career development and the educational programs that we put out there. I never did take advantage of them. And I look back now going, why didn't I? Because I could have definitely had a bigger resume, so many other opportunities at my feet now if I would have just kind of taken the time to invest in myself as my education goes. So if you have an opportunity, please do that.
You want to Jessica? No. Okay, I'll just say, just kind of following up and piggybacking on everything that each one of these ladies have spoken about. It's really up to you. And thinking back of my whole career and what I would tell myself 5 or 10 years, after the fact, I don't think I would tell myself anything different except for continue focusing on the journey, not the destination. A lot of times we get so caught up with trying to reach a destination and check a box that we kind of forget that journey that we've taken to get to where we are, and to appreciate that and to develop in that milestone that you've already done, and then to understand what it is that you're trying to obtain and be comfortable enough to say, okay, I'm comfortable with this decision and where I am in my career. And I'm not going to just check a box and promote because someone else sees something in me and they want me to do that. You need to always want to promote. You need to want the job that you're going for, that you're applying for. Don't ever feel pressure, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you're really great, you're this, that, and the other. They're going to tell you that throughout your career if you are, and some people will tell you that if you're not. And you can wiggle through some of that within your career, but it's very important that you have to have that passion of what you want to do. So that way you give it 110%, and it's not just feeling like a job. Like when I wake up in the morning, I love what I do. I love leading people. I love being available for people. I love to allow people the opportunity to develop in what they want to do within their career. So I think it's really important to know what you want, and then to follow that journey, and just don't be caught up in chasing a band and chasing opportunities for money. Have that passion of what you're doing, so that when you get there, you can be very productive and you can leave a mark on the individuals that you're leading, so that they too will want to do the same thing as they come up behind you.
We're going to give Jessica a try and see if we can.
The floor is yours.
There's a delay.
So thank you for that. I think it's great. And I heard a really important comment from the panel, which is something I wish I would have done sooner, which is invest in myself. You know, you have to want to look the part, you want to read the part, you want to study You know, TSA has come a long way in 20 years. They have so many resources for you that are available. They didn't have that stuff 19 years ago. It was just, you know, you took a resume and you built it the best way you know how. Now there's coaches, now there's all these tools for you to invest in yourself, take the classes, become whatever it is that you're looking to get to. One of the biggest things that I would say is when you are looking to grow in your career, if the first time you get turned down, don't get discouraged. Keep going, you know, make the changes to the resume, take that class that you may have needed to take, invest in yourself, take the time to, you know, take the opportunity to learn yourself and what it is that you want. Build your own vision board so that you can follow through on it, so that you understand, okay, in 15 years, this is what I want to be doing. This is what I want to be leading, or this is what I want, what program I want to write, whether it's at LAX, whether it's, you know, for FAMS, whether it's at headquarters or any other agency. You can do whatever you put your mind to. You just have to be able to invest the time, invest in yourself and what it is that you want to really do. I think the most important thing is, and this is one of the things that we do to ourselves when we hurt ourselves, is the first no that you hear, you get very discouraged and then you walk away from it. And that's the worst thing that you can do. You should be able to hear a no and say, okay, let me adapt and overcome and continue, because the doors will eventually open for you.
Thank you.
Wow. So I don't know about you guys, but there's 1,000 things that we can take away from this, but obviously, right? But something that stood out to me was the beginning, where they came from to where they are now. Any advice that they could have given themselves is not going to be the same for anybody, right? So I could have been privileged and had the best education and the best resources, and my partner next to me, total opposite, right? But at the end of the day, it's what you make of it, right? You will choose your own path at the end of the day. So make sure that you make the best of it. We're going to move on to the last question, but that doesn't mean that the event is over. If we have any additional questions that we want to ask the panelists, pick their brains, guys, right? They are in positions of power. They're here to not only be our mentors. I mean, what's stopping us from sending an email to each one of these ladies, right? And saying, hey, how did you get there again? What did you do? Do you have any classes that you can recommend? Anything. Remember, networking is a big part of any career progression. So we're going to ask, dun, dun, dun. So how do you balance your career, your personal life, and your passions? Is there such a thing as balance?
So I do think that there's something called balance. And I think that if there's anything that the pandemic showed us over the last couple of years, is that you can absolutely find that balance. I think that prior to the pandemic, we had been so focused just in society, just on our jobs and going to work, being away from home, and spending so much time and your resources, personal resources, into work. And then the pandemic had us like pull back a little bit and then see the things that really matter, right? So I think that there was a huge silver lining in the pandemic. But for me, I found that there is absolutely a balance between work and personal. And anybody that knows me knows I'm involved in a whole lot of things. I do a lot for the agency, not just FAMS, for TSA. I'm involved in everything from the Administrators Action Group to, you know, the new Chief Diversity Officers Action Group, and building a strategic plan, and FAMS implementation plan groups, and managing a huge office. And we at FAMS chair. I do a lot of things. I don't know how. I'm still trying to figure out how. But I will tell you this. I set boundaries. It's okay to say no. I think that early on in my career, I said yes to everything, and I was wearing myself out. So I've learned to start saying no, and it's okay. And I'll tell people, I don't really have the space for this right now. I can give you somebody who could, or you can loop back around with me in a little bit, and maybe I'll have more space. But right now, I just don't have it. So I'm very honest about that. I set boundaries. But when I'm at work, I'm 100% locked in on work. But work does not take up 100% of my time. When I'm home, I am home. I have a wife, I have 2 kids. I'm 100% invested in my family when I'm home and doing the things that I love. And I think that's really important to be able to set those boundaries. And even though I have a 24/7, 365 job, and I have my phone with me at all times and I'm available, if something can wait, if it comes across my phone, if it comes through my email and it can wait, it happens tomorrow. There's nothing. There are some times when the world is on fire, but when it's not, there's no need to respond right away. And I'll tell somebody, I can't do this right now. I'm home with my family. I'll get back to you tomorrow. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that it was funny, actually, 2 days ago, I hosted the DHS Deputy Secretary came to speak to We at FAMS. So we hosted him on a virtual call. And while I'm speaking to him, I have my virtual background on. And my oldest daughter, comes in the room naked. She had on just panties. And she's like, mommy. So I shut off my camera really quick and I muted my phone and I started screaming at her. And I come back and I was like, I am so sorry, guys. I was like, my 5-year-old just walked in the room. They didn't see her. They couldn't see her because of the virtual background. But I was like, I'm so sorry. And the deputy secretary said, there's so much beauty in that. And for someone at such high levels to recognize that we have these flexibilities where we can work from home and we can balance our responsibilities as parents, but also our responsibilities at work. It's just a really beautiful thing. We're in a really great time right now. So I will say balance does exist. Create that balance by setting boundaries and sticking to them. And really put your energy focus on the things that matter. When you're at work, work matters 100%. And when you're at home, home matters 100%, right? You have to be able to adjust, to shift accordingly, and to set those boundaries.
It's kind of hard to add to that. So I would love to say that I get in my car and I don't think about work, but it does happen sometimes. Like I'll think about something I got to do tomorrow or something I might have forgot to do while I was at work. But I think that for me, finding balance is kind of giving myself little daily checks. Like, okay, no, you spend enough time dealing with work stuff. It's time to, worry about your personal life. I think that something she said that I feel is really true is setting boundaries for yourself too. I am a big believer of I'm not going to take on more than I can't handle. And not to say that I won't push myself and challenge myself, because I will, but I also know what my limitations are and how much I can take on. Other than that, yeah, I don't really have. You feel like you summed up balance pretty good.
So I'm really bad at balance, and I'm sure everyone that's on the YouTube for my team is watching going, she's not going to answer that question. I do really bad. I really do. I have a hard time disconnecting, and that is my position, and being that 24/7 and really trying to be available to my team. I want them to be able to call if they have a question, but it's also about empowering my leaders as well. And I've been definitely trying to work on it because I know I'm really bad at it. And my team knows. So my team is jumping in and they take on so many different things and not being afraid. And it's not a weakness when you can't balance it all, right? At all. Sometimes we have so many balls up in the air. So it's not a weakness. And when I need help, I ask for help. And it not only helps me, but it helps me bring up my leaders in my AOR so that they get those opportunities. But it gives me a chance to, see what they've got and what they can bring to the table. And it just helps strengthen everything. And for those that know me, many years ago, I left screening and went to mission support. And I love my time with HR. And my main reason for leaving screening was to get a better balance. I had been working 24/7. I was a lead manager, and that is probably the hardest job ever. So hats off to all my lead managers in here. It was just always on call. And my kids were really young, and I would watch them. And the thing that hit me the most was I was on a call and it was Sunday night, and they were in the middle of doing something, and they walked in, and they used to bug me, mom, and they just looked, and they saw me on the phone. They just walked out of the room with like these sad faces, and it just killed me. And I want to be a present mom. So I moved over to HR, and it was a great experience. And I learned so much about myself, about the whole other avenue of mission support and how hard they work, and just all the nuances of that. But I missed leading people, and I missed the screening operations and everything out here. And so when I transitioned back, I was very hesitant because of that balance aspect. I had gotten it, but I wanted, like, this is what I love. I love being out here. I love the operations. As Tamara said, I love waking up. Not all the time, but I really love my team, and I love the stakeholders that I talk to and work with, and I really enjoy that. So when I transitioned back, it was a hard decision because balance is huge, but it's not a weakness. Ask for help. Empower each other. We want that career progression, right? So you should have someone, it should never just rely on you, right? You should have other people that could step up and keep the world running and keep things going. And don't be afraid to ask for help, because it really helps branch those relationships, right? When you do take a moment just to say, hey, I need some help to do this. And you can't do it all, but we're women, so we do it all. So.
Walking around.
Thank you.
I think they did a really, really fantastic job answering that question. I won't be redundant in my answer, but balance is something that initially when you go into a leadership role, you're going to struggle with initially, but then you get the hang of it. And as Cherie had said, you develop your team so that some of that pressure that you were getting, where you're getting all these phone calls and things like that, they now know how to handle those things. So part of being a leader is to develop those that are under you so that they can take on that responsibility as well. I think for me, early on in my career, being a new mom, when I started with TSA a year later, I had a child. So it was like, oh my goodness, I really got to figure out how to balance being a new mom and then being at work and dealing with all of the issues that you have to deal with as a manager with your workforce, and then going home and dealing with a newborn child. So it was difficult in the beginning because at that time you weren't allowed to pick your shift. They would just assign you a shift. They would assign you days off. They would assign you a shift. I've worked every single shift and every day off pattern that they have within the shift bid. So some of you guys now that are newly promoted managers, you guys get to pick your shift. Lucky you, but we didn't have that choice. And then it was a 10-hour shift. And again, the balance of, like I said, being a new mom in the beginning, I wanted to be that mom that's volunteering at school. I'm not missing the recital. I'm not missing cheer practice. I'm not missing anything for my child. What I learned in my career early on, that I wanted to be involved, and I wasn't going to sacrifice my job as a parent for my job. You have to prioritize what's important. Yes, my job is definitely important. However, my child is more important and my family is more important. So I learned early on how to then balance that and get a hold of it and ask other individuals that had already gone through that. And the reason why I'm getting a little choked up, because I had talked to Janice Nagy, who's now deceased, because early on, prior to TSA, I knew her from when she worked for United, and we would be at the same security meetings, which used to be at the Delta Pacific room. And I'm like, hey, she's got all this experience. She's a mom of 2, you know, how does she balance it? And she gave me some good advice. And she was like, hey, never sacrifice or miss anything for your kids, because they're going to remember that. But working, if you miss something, you can assign somebody else to do that. Don't think that you have to be here 100% because that's what somebody's asking you to do. So you need to make sure that you know how to prioritize, and then also develop those that work for you to be able to take your job. Because again, you can't always be here. You can't always be available. Yes, they expect us to be available. We have our phones. We're expected to answer it, whether it's the weekend or not, no matter what time of day it is. However, you know, there's perks to all of that as well. But you really have to just be confident in the decisions that you make as far as how you're going to balance your career and your personal life when you're working such an important job, or you're in a position of leadership to where you're leading people. But again, this is one of the reasons why I spoke earlier about when you are going into a position, you need to make sure that you're ready to be fully committed to what that position entails. And you have to be able to take on all that because that's what's expected of you. So this is why I tell people, don't be so quick to chase after a promotion unless you're really ready to do what that job entails, because there's a lot of things that come along with being in a leadership role. So you need to make sure you know, and that's one of the reasons why I developed the Rotation for Success program here at LAX, to give people an opportunity to go into positions and to see if you really want that job. Because a lot of times we're like, oh yeah, I want to apply for this job, or yeah, I think I want to do this. And then you get in there and you're like, oh yeah, I don't really like that job, or I really love it and I'm going to do other things and take other opportunities within TSA to get me to that next level to be able to get that job. So again, working with balance, it could be difficult in the beginning, but you'll get a hold of it. Always seek out and talk to other individuals that may have already experienced that. That really helps you in your career and then in your personal life as well. So that's it.
So I think we lost Jessica, but okay. But thank you, Tamara. I did not know that you helped start Rotations for Success.
Yeah, that was
love
myself, Brian Bondoc, and Latasha.
Yes, that is actually one of my favorite programs that TSA offers. I actually participated in the Rotations for Success years ago, but I had a lot of insight when I did that Rotations for Success. And I also did the mentorship program. That's another program that's here at TSA. And that's a really good program if you want to try and get out and see other opportunities or positions here that you may want to try. And maybe you might like it, maybe you won't like it. But just try it at least, and to get just the different experience. Okay. So Rotations for Success is open right now. I just want to tell everyone that. So you should apply. There's different departments, not just screenings, not just supervisor, not just lead, but you can rotate positions in mission support. Is K9 on? I'm not sure if K9 is there. K9 is there. K9 office is like an off-site office, but if you're interested in that, so there's so many different things. So we are crunched for time, so I'm going to open the floor. We can take 3 questions. 3, okay. So we can take 3 questions. If you have a question, does anyone have questions?
I don't think it's a question.
Okay, good. Okay, or a comment. It doesn't have to be a question. It could be a comment. So if you do, you will have to speak into the mic. So you will have to come up here with us. You do? Okay, come on up, young lady. And introduce yourself, please.
Yes. Good morning, ladies, and I am so honored to be in a room with such beautiful ladies and such a dynamic panel. My name is Melanie Petway, for one. I work with Atlas. I'm a behavior analysis, and I now work with the Viper team, which is under Miss Alana. Miss Alana and we don't work closely, but let me give you an insight. When someone is powerful, naturally powerful, beautiful spirit, you can walk into a room and they will illuminate the room on their own. So one day I went to a photo after one of our, what was it, Super Bowl? Mm-hmm. Super Bowl. We worked the Super Bowl, never met Miss Alana. And she walked in the room and I'm like, wow, who was that? Didn't know. I thought she was just a fam. I thought she was a fam. Just like, my other peers that I work with. So she got up there with her SSAC and they said she's second in command. And I'm like, wow. But I would have never known because she was so positive. Her attitude just was amazing. She walked in, and it wasn't eloquently like she's speaking now. She walked in, hey, how you doing? Hello, and just so friendly and down to earth. So it made you comfortable to approach her. So then the next time I saw her, we were at the Super Bowl sign taking a picture, and I walked to approach her and I introduced myself. And she was just so friendly, but it just made me go into myself to say, you know what? You don't have to be afraid to work under management, speak, and approach, because these are your mentors. These are the people. And I started with Tamara, and Tamara was the same way. She was the same way. She helped me when I first started my career here in 2007. She was my first manager, and I had gotten pregnant. I had a really tough pregnancy, but Miss Tamara said, your family first, and she helped me along the way with everything. I didn't have to worry about work. I was because I was new. I was still I didn't even have epaulets. But she helped me out for those first 6 months, and she told me, your family's first. Don't worry about this. We got this. She helped me with paperwork. She helped me with everything. And I appreciate you for that. And that's why every time I see her, hey, Miss Tamara, no matter where I see her, if I see her in the street, hey, Tamara, but it's nothing. I mean, she never say, oh, well, address me this way. They are just such beautiful, down-to-earth women. And then I must say this, and I'm going to get off the mic because I know we're pressed for time. My beautiful sister. So they just spoke on family first. My sister has a son through this COVID who struggled with seizures. So she took her family. She put her son first. She had to take a leave of absence, even though it was an extreme amount of time. She knew that, you know what, my family comes first. So when they spoke about balancing time and family and your job, she stayed off work. She kept her son, my kids, because I didn't put family. I came to work, but she was bold enough. I know I was scared because I was like, okay, wait, what's going to happen? Let me come to work. But she was bold enough to say, you know what? I'll stay home with the kids, and she did that. She balanced her time. She, was working graveyard at a time, but she would stay up with our kids for school, for everything. When she had to work at graveyard, then we'll switch off. But I wasn't taking off work. So I appreciate you, and I commend all of you ladies for knowing how to balance your time and teaching me along the way. So thank you.
All right.
Hello, my name is Jasmine. Ms. Tamara, you kind of already addressed this, but have you women juggled being a mother and then developing your careers, and then how have you overcame defeat? Because my daughter's 2 and I'm new to TSA, I'm new to security. I used to work for Starbucks and I was a manager for Starbucks, and that's way different from this. Totally different ballgame. So how have you juggled doing both within the years that you guys have been within TSA?
So I've jumped around a lot. I started in New York. I came out to LA on my first promotion, went back to headquarters for a couple years, and then came back to LA again. So I've been jumping coasts over the past few years. And not every time, when I moved from LA to headquarters, I had a 3-month-old. And when I moved from headquarters back to LA, I had another 3-month-old. So balancing, especially while I'm kind of rising and taking on new positions, has been somewhat of a challenge, but it goes back to that balance and what's important, right? It was actually at the time that I was pregnant with my first child that I was I was bringing home work. I would literally have papers all around me. I would work all throughout the night, get up in the morning, go to work, come home and work again. And it wasn't until I got pregnant that I was this is what's most important, right? First of all, I have to take care of myself, and I have to be more present for myself and my family while I'm pregnant so I can be healthy in my pregnancy. That's number one. And then after I had the baby, I was I really need to be focused on raising my child and building my family, right? So for me, it's always been keep pushing where you can, but also be very mindful of being present for your family, right? And those two things can exist in the same space. It's all about how you manage your time and where you put your energy.
Thank you. Okay, ladies. So thank you. I am definitely motivated. I feel encouraged. Thank you so much to our panel, our guest speakers, to you women out here. I know some of you women, but thank you, ladies, also because you just being here. You are also making differences for women across the world. just for you even entering the workforce, because at one point we were not even allowed to enter the workforce. So just us even coming to work every day and clocking in and being moms while we're doing it, because that is a hard job. I'm not a mom, but I am an aunt. So, well, I'm a foster mom. I won't say that much, but it's a mom, but it's like a different kind of mom. It's a mom. Then so like foster mom, we have like shared responsibility. I will say that much, because the biological parents are there, so it's kind of like a team effort. But it is a mom, so. It does. That is the village that you were speaking about. But just to actually be able to do those things, parenting and coming to work, it is difficult. But we get up every day and we do it. So thank you, ladies, and congratulations to you. Thank you to the panel. We do have refreshment. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one plug.
Okay, plug us, and then we'll let Yolanda speak. I want to take all of her time as well.
I have one plug. I love my partners. I really do love you guys. But FAMS is hiring. We have an open announcement. Thank you. We have an open announcement until the end of this month. So if you're interested in applying, apply. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Our women's group, we did 2 virtual sessions online just this month, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about it. We are struggling for women. We always have, and I don't want to struggle anymore. So please apply to the position. But yes, I just wanted to plug that. USA Jobs, you can find us.
That is a great plug. USA Jobs. Okay, Yoli.
All right, let's give another round of applause for our panelists. Thank you guys so much. And let's also give a round of applause for our moderators, Jamaica and Davey. Also like to thank the media team and Yanni with the WebEx. Thank you so much. At this time, we would like to present a gift to the panelists. We wish we could give you more. We really do. But we just want to give you a little token for just taking this time out and sharing your journey and being an inspiration to all of us. So thank you so much. And we also would like to present a gift to one of our attendees. So earlier we decided the 8th person that signed in will receive a gift. So Yanni, you have the sign sheet right there. Can you just tell us who's number 8?
Stephanie Avila.
Stephanie Avila. There you go. So we appreciate you guys, and I want you guys to know, please take as much food as you like. And we also have little gifts for everyone that is attending, so you don't feel left out. Davina and the rest of, before we go, can we have the Creative Mind members that are here, that are present, stand up so everyone can see you? Yeah. Okay. So Creative Minds is an employee morale group, and we've been around for about, I'm going to say, since 2015, or maybe a little bit earlier. So we love to do things that are just lifting up morale for ourselves, the screeners, everyone. So you hear about us, breast cancer awareness. We do 9/11 events. And of course, every year we do the Women's Day, which is March. Okay. So thank you guys for joining us, and have a good day. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. That's why I can't be in charge. Okay. Before we end, we would like to play tribute to one of the great leaders at TSA, Janice Nagy, and Tamara Thomas will be paying tribute to her. Thank you. You got it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So that I don't get choked up with words, although it was, as I was typing this, I was still choked up. So bear with me. I kept it short and sweet. So this is a tribute to Janice. Janice was more than just a deputy AFSD here at LAX. She was a friend, a mentor, a leader, an expert on camping sites, and depending on the conversation, she would give you motherly advice as well. There's no secret. Janice will always be remembered for telling someone that they were her favorite when she needed something done. She was a strong believer in promoting and supporting women in leadership roles. One day we were eating lunch and talking about creating a way to support women in overcoming challenges and learning from each other's experiences that we face in the workplace. We decided together to start our local initiative, LAX Ladies in Leadership. We hosted several conferences, and after each one, Janice would say, "There is a true need for this in the workplace." Although she was a stickler for accountability within the workforce, she also had a very big heart for caring for those who demonstrated integrity, respect, and commitment. She was dedicated to this agency, even while dealing with one of life's toughest health battles. She would text me, asking about LTSM Tamayo and Terminal 1's operation all the time, wishing she could be at work with her team. I'll close with saying that there's no perfect leader. We all make mistakes. It's a part of growth. Janice was a professional woman in leadership and respected by her leadership style by many once you got to know her. I was able to see her one last time on February 3rd, and she passed 8 days later. I was heartbroken. But through the many conversations we had, she prepared me and gave me a lot of wisdom. She will be truly missed by all that knew her for her contributions to Team LAX. We love you, Janice.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So feel free to enjoy refreshments and have some tea at our tea party.